review of what we did last class. So let's take a look here. So we're going to be talking about multiplying polynomials today, but for right now, let's just do a warm-up. So a couple of things here. We got some vocabulary words, right? So sum is going to be adding. Okay, so we're going to be adding these two. So when we're adding, again, remember we want to combine like terms. So I'm going to take a look at the x squared terms first. So it looks like I have 1 here, and then I'm going to be adding 7x squared here. So 1 plus 7 is 8x squared, right? So we're taking that and that. So I just have 1 plus 7. So I'm going to cross those out and say, hey, I'm done with those. Okay. Then I have negative x plus negative x. So I have negative 1 plus a negative 1. So if I add those together, I get negative 2x. So I'm going to throw that away, right? Because negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. Okay. And then I look at the whole numbers, and there's no whole number in this next one. So negative 2 plus 0 is just negative 2. Okay. So there's my answer right there. Okay. So again, we're just taking and we're adding like terms. Okay. So please let me know if you guys have questions. I would love to help. Hopefully you guys did your 4-question homework, right? Where we had 2 adding, 2 subtracting. No one came to my office hours this morning, so always remember, right? I have office hours, or you can email me, and we can email back and forth. So let's take a look at the second one. My blue pen's almost out, so I'm going to use this red pen. So taking a look here, it says find the difference. So if I want to find the difference, I'm going to start out the same way. So I'm going to look, my highest order term here is squared. So I have 1p squared here, and I have negative 4p squared here. But the difference now is, right, I am subtracting, right? So this is p squared minus negative 4p squared, right? So the difference now is instead of adding, I'm subtracting. So we have to remember subtracting a negative is the same as adding. So 1 plus 4 is 5p squared. Okay, so I can get rid of that and get rid of that. So with the negatives, right, we got to be careful, especially for those double negatives, right? When you subtract a negative thing, that's a good thing, right? If you get rid of bad things, that's a good thing. So we're subtracting negatives, so we're going to be increasing. So I have 1 plus 4. Then I'm going to look at my p's. So I have p here, and then I'm going to be subtracting a negative. So then again, subtracting a negative. So if I want to write this out, p minus a negative p, right? That turns to positive. So I'm going to have 2p. Okay. And then I have 3 minus 3. Well, 3 minus 3 is 0. So I'm just going to leave this like this because you don't need to write the 0. Okay, right? That just goes to 0. So does anybody have questions about that or concerns or anything I can do to help? I'm doing okay. It's good. I'm glad that you guys are here. Thank you for asking. I'm doing okay. It's a little cold. I'm tired of it being cold. The sun is nice, but now we just got to get it to warm up. Does anybody have any questions about these warm-ups before we dive into the new stuff? It's a little confusing. Which one's confusing? Subtraction or addition? Okay, so the subtracting. Okay, so we're just identifying combining like terms, right? So we can do this really quickly. We do have some new stuff to do today. So yeah, I can do another adding. So let's do b minus 10 plus 4b minus 3. And let's do negative k plus 5. And then minus 3k squared minus 6. Okay, so we'll do one of both. So Again, when we're adding, we're just identifying like terms. So right here on the left, I have 1b, okay? And then here on the right, I have 4b. So if I add those together, how many do I have total? Well, I have 1b here and 4b here. So that's a total of 5b. Okay, so you're just adding. It's like you have two baskets and you're combining everything in the baskets, right? Here I have -10 and here I have -3. So if I add -10 and -3, I get -13. Okay, so when we're adding, it's like you have two baskets full of things and you're putting them together and be like, okay, what do I have total? Okay, so again, if you guys have questions about this, please let me know. So again, I'm just like, okay, look, I have 1b here, I have 4 b's here, that's a total of 5 b's. I have -10 here, I have -3 here, that's a total of -13. Now with here, you just got to remember we're subtracting the second one, right? So we're subtracting. So the first thing I'm going to take a look at is it looks like my highest ordered term is 3k squared, so I'm going to start here. There's no k squared term over here, right? So there's only this, and I'm subtracting it. So this was a positive 3k squared, but then I'm subtracting it. So now it's going to be a -3 squared, 3k squared. Right? Do you see how I'm subtracting it? So if I subtract a positive, right, that's subtraction. All right, so I did this one. Then I'm looking at my next one. It looks like I have a k here, but no k here. So a -k minus nothing is still just -k. All right, and then I have 5 minus a -6. So if you want to do a little math here, right? 5 minus a -6. And again, with calculators, calculators make this so easy, right? If you don't know, if you're not confident, you can always just go 5 minus a -6, and you get 11. So that's going to be positive 11. Okay. So again, all we're doing here is just you're looking at combining terms that look alike. Right? So you have two baskets. Now, in the case with the minus, right, you're subtracting whatever is in the box next to it. Okay. Now, unfortunately, guys, I can't spend much more time on this. So if you're still lost and confused, then you should come see me during my office hours, right? Because I have to teach some new stuff today. So if you want more practice with this, please join me in my office hours. We can sit down and do as many of these as you want. We can also go over your homework if you'd like. So my office hours for right now in the near future are going to be in the morning because I coach in the evening. So please, please, please make sure you guys come to my office hours if you need more practice with that. So this was adding and subtracting. What we're going to focus on today, right? We're going to be doing 7.2 and 7.3. We're going to talk about multiplying. So with multiplying top polynomials, we're going to do these two ways, okay? The first way we're going to do this is the box method. Now, the box method is visual, okay? So I know a lot of people like having a visual thing, but it's slower, okay? Now, I recommend, Mr. Kraft recommends this. So I like this method because it might be slower, but it's visual, and it will limit the amount of mistakes you make, because the slower you go, the less mistakes you're going to go. Okay? So we're going to do the box method first and really practice that. And then I'll show you a way that's a little bit faster, but I don't really recommend it. But for some of you, you might appreciate the faster method. Okay? So let's take a look at an example. Okay, we're just going to dive right into an example of this. So let's say, I got to make sure, sorry, I was just back in adding and subtracting. Let's say we're going to go 2x minus 3. Okay, so remember this is a binomial, right? Because it has two parts, so this is a binomial. And then we're going to multiply that by x plus 5. Okay, so this is multiplication, right? So remember, if you have two things next to each other, that's multiplication, right? So this is 2x minus 3 times x plus 5. So this is a binomial times a binomial. And bi means 2, right? So there's two terms in each of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the box method to do this. So step 1, we're going to draw a box. And label it. Okay, so here is our box. Now, when we make our box, we're going to make our box 2 by 2 because we're going to be multiplying two terms by two terms. Okay, so again, we're going to make our box 2 by 2. And then what I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter, and don't get hung up on this. It doesn't matter if you put this first one on the top or the side. So it doesn't matter if you put it on the top or the side, but I'm just going to go here. I'm going to have 2x minus 3, right? That's this one. And then I'm going to have x plus 5. Okay, so your two polynomials are going to go on the outside. Okay, and what this is, do you guys remember doing like multiplication tables? This is just a multiplication table. Okay, so step 2 is we're going to multiply to find area of the small boxes. Oops, I'm off there. So we're going to multiply to find the area of the small boxes. And don't worry guys, we're going to practice this a bit, okay? So we're going to multiply to find the area of the small boxes. So you see how there's 4 small boxes in the inside? We're going to find the area of those small boxes. And remember, to find the area of a box, it's just length times width. So to do this, what we're going to do, right, we're going to start with this upper left-hand box. So I'm going to take this top here is x, the left here is 2x. I'm going to take x times 2x. So what you do is you multiply the whole numbers together, and then you multiply the letters together. So this one would be 2 times 1 is 2, and then x times x is x squared. Okay, so just remember, x times x equals x squared. Right, just like x times x times x would equal x cubed. I'm just hitting pause because I want to make sure you guys get this all down. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm multiplying, right? So 2x times x would be 2x squared, right? Because there's a 1 in front of this x, right? So 2 times 1 is 2. X times x is x squared. So now let's do the upper right. So I'm going to have 5 times 2x. So 5, now I do the whole numbers together, right? So 5 times 2 is 10. And then there's an x, right? But there's no x here, so it's just x. So if I have 2x's, that means I have 10 x's, right? Because that's 2x 5 times. Are we doing okay so far, guys? Well, hopefully we're still okay. Okay. So then here, I'm going to go, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to go x times -3. So I always, you guys notice how I'm putting my numbers in front? So then if I have negative 3 times x, I'm going to put my number in front like this. And then I'm going to keep the negative, right? So it's negative 3x. That's why I put, you know, it says minus 3. Minus 3, remember, is the same as adding negative 3. Okay, so it's negative 3x. And then for this last one, I'm going to go 5 times negative 3. So 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So we drew the box. We made it 2 by 2. So there's no x here. So it's just negative 3 times x. If it was negative 3x times x, it would be negative 3x squared, right? Yeah. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so we started by drawing the box. I made mine 2 by 2 because there's 2 terms by 2 terms. I labeled it, right? And it doesn't matter, right? I could have easily put 2x minus 3 on the top, and I could have put x plus 5 here. So it doesn't matter which one, the order. It just matters that one's on top, one's on the side. Then I multiplied to find the area of all the small boxes. Okay, so those were our first 2 steps. Our last step, I gotta come down here a little bit. Our last step, step 3, is going to be we're going to add all the small boxes. Okay, so we're just going to add them all together. So everything in blue I'm going to add together, okay? So what do we have here? I have 2x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 15. Okay, and then we're going to want to simplify this. So we're going to want to simplify this. Notice how I just have a 2x squared, but then here, right, if I have 10x and I have minus 3x, and this is, remember, we were doing this with adding polynomials. So if I go 10x minus 3x, that's 7x, and then minus 15. And there's my answer. So this, in this box, the 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 is the same as this up here. They're the same thing. They just look different. And what we're going to focus on today is multiplying them to get this. And then starting next class, what we're going to do, next class we're going to do some more multiplying. But then after that, we're going to do this backwards. So it's really important that you guys pay attention, right? So we're multiplying 2 binomials to get a polynomial, right? So this is a trinomial. And we use this system. And then in starting next week, we're going to learn how to do this backwards. Okay? So what did we do? We drew the box. I made it a 2 by 2 because I'm having 2 terms times 2 terms. I labeled it. And then I multiplied to find the area of each small box, and then you add the small boxes together. Okay. So, I'm going to let's have you guys try one. Okay. Did you guys get this all down? Let's go ahead and let's give you guys another example to work on. Okay, so let's say we have so we're gonna have 2x plus 3 and then times x minus 3. So I want you guys to replicate what we did. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to do that and see how far you can get. And if you get stuck, that's perfectly normal. And then we'll finish it together. So try to get as far as you can with this. It's a 2 by 2. So you're going to make a 2 by 2 box. right? And then you're going to label the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to slowly work. So if you're completely stuck, I'm just going to slowly do some work here. Yeah, the x minus 3, that's a negative 3, right? So remember, whenever you have subtraction, subtraction is the same as adding a negative number. Now if you're completely stuck, if you're still going, to keep going, but if you're completely stuck, it doesn't matter where I put the 2x plus 3 and the x minus 3, but I might go like this. If you didn't write it this way, you're totally fine. You're going to get the exact same answer, okay? So it doesn't matter if your x minus 3 is on the top or the side. So what are we going to get? 2x squared. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times x is 3x. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And hopefully you guys see some patterns, right? So if we write it like this, our squared term's always going to be in the upper left. Our x terms are always going to be along this diagonal. And then our whole number is always going to be down here. Okay? So even if you wrote the x minus 3 over here, you're going to get these same numbers. They might be in a different order, but they're going to be the same numbers. Okay? So then I'm going to add these together. Sorry, my blue pen is dying, isn't it? So we can combine these middle numbers. So I'm going to get 2x squared. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3x, and then minus 9. Okay, so how are you guys doing with that? I don't think we're going to have time to do the other method today. We're just going to focus on the box method. Yeah, no, exactly. I knew you guys would like this method, and this method is going to help us out so much when we go backwards because it's already so visual. So let's just focus on this method and keep doing this. Okay? So I agree. The other one is it can make things faster, but I don't think you guys are really going to care, and you can always learn it later when you want to go faster because it's quick to pick up. All right, let's do one more of these, and then I'm gonna give you a challenge. Okay, so let's do one more of these. Let's do one that looks like this. And yes, my R's look bad, but that's an R. Okay, so go ahead and find that one. Oops, sorry, I gotta let someone in. Okay, so you guys are trying this one on your own. Here, I'm going to put up a clock. So let's try that one on our own, guys. But you're multiplying, you're not adding. So I'm looking at this. So, right? So remember here, we're not, so if you were adding, it would be 0, but we're multiplying. So to find the area, right? So to find the area, we're going to multiply. So it's -3 times 3, so it's -9, right? But then, yeah, if you're adding, you totally would get 0. So we just have to always, right? And that's why this gets confusing. Are we adding? Are we multiplying? Always double check. I think that's an easy mistake to make. All right, so we're gonna go over this together. Oop, I just muted myself. That's not what I wanted to do. All right, we're gonna go over this together. So it's 2 and 2. So I'm gonna draw a 2 by 2 box. Okay, and then again, it doesn't matter what side I put it on. So I'm gonna switch up what I'm doing just to show you that it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what right? So in this last one, I put the left one on the left. This one, I'm putting the left one on the top. It doesn't matter what you do, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply these. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then r times r is r squared. 2 times -5 is -10. And then r times 1 is just r. -1 times r is -r. And -1 times -5 is +5. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of these on the inside together. So I'm going to get 2r squared minus 10r minus r plus 5. I can combine -10 and -r. So I'm going to get 2r squared. -10 minus 1 is -11r, and then plus 5. Now, I did this without a calculator. If you guys are struggling with adding negative numbers or multiplying negative numbers, remember that you can always use a calculator. So don't let that get you down, okay? If those are the only mistakes you're doing, like, oh man, I messed up adding or multiplying negative numbers, remember your calculator can do all of that for you. So how are you guys feeling? Do you feel like this is something we can do? Are we confused? Are we lost? What can I do to help you? How are we doing? Are you, yeah. So if all I ever hear is you guys are doing great, then we're just going to move on. So make sure if you guys are struggling or if you have questions that you let me know. Okay, no one's asking. Okay, so then we're going to throw a wrench into this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do something just a little bit different, and this one is okay. Let's try this one. So this is example 2, 3. This is example 4. Oops, example 4. So let's try this one. x plus 5, so the quantity of x plus 5, and then we're going to multiply this by x squared minus 3x minus 2. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me what's different about this one? Why is this one different? Can you guys type that into chat? What's different about this one? What do you guys see? Like visually, what's different from this one? So we just did 2 of these, right? So maybe it helps if they're all on the same screen. I can't do that here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So what's different about this new one? Yeah, there's 3 terms. Oh my gosh, you guys are so money. Yeah, so this second one has 3 terms. So how the heck are we going to do that? Well, the box method still works, okay? So all we're going to have to do is, yeah, it's a trinomial. Oh my gosh, I almost want to cry because, yeah, we're good. Oh my gosh, guys, you guys should just be teaching this class. You guys got this, right? We're just gonna add another box. So what I like to do, so it doesn't matter which way you do it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an extra box lengthwise. So what this means is, see how there's 2 here, but then I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't matter. Now, see how I built my third box out to the right? You could also add it down below. It doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. So if you wanted to add the extra boxes down here, that's fine. We just have to make sure it's a 2 by 3. Okay? So you could have done 2 on the top and then 3 on the side. So what I'm going to do then here is I'm going to go x plus 5. And then I'm going to have x squared minus 3x minus 2. So it's the exact same thing. We just have an extra box to find. So can you guys go ahead and fill out these boxes? Try to fill out those boxes on your own. And just to help you out here, remember, x squared is x times x, right? So you're going to have x times x times x. So fill out these boxes right now. You just do the multiplication, and then we'll see what we get. All right, let's see what you guys got. So if I have x squared, that's x times x times x. How many x's do I have right here? Can you guys type that in the chat? So I have x times x, right? This is x squared, right? And then times x. So I have 2 here, and I have 1 here, right? So I have 2 and 1. So this is going to be x cubed, right? So if I were to write this out over here, x times x squared is the same as x times x times x, right? Because that's what x squared is. So that is x cubed. Hey, I knew we would have troubles with it. That's why we did it together, guys. I got your back. I knew. So don't feel bad about that. That's good. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, so I have x squared times x. I have 3 x's. Okay. Then here, negative 3 times 1, right? So we do our whole numbers first. So that's negative 3. And then x times x, that's 2 x's. So that's negative 3x squared. And then I have negative 2 times x, that's negative 2x. And then I have 5 times x squared, so that's 5x squared. And then I have 5 times negative 3, so that's negative 15. And then there's an x. And then I have 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And notice, guys, there's patterns. I hope you see the patterns, right? So here's my cube. And then this diagonal is my squares. And then this diagonal is my x's. And then here's my whole numbers, right? So that's always a cool little pattern you can look for. And we'll talk more about that pattern when we work backwards. Okay. And then, as always, I'm just going to add these all together. But I'm going to group all my like terms together to make it easier for me to see. Right? So I group together my squares. And I group together my x's. Okay, so what do we get? The x cubed stays the same. Negative 3 plus 5, that's a positive 2x squared. Okay, and then negative 2 minus 15, that's going to be negative 17x, and then minus 10. Like that. So if you have one that has 3 terms in it, it's the exact same process, but as you can see, there's just a bit more work, right? So the more terms we add, this process still works. It's just a little bit more work. So because we are short on time, we're not going to spend a lot of time on trinomials. And I bet you're just like, whew, right? That feels good, right? So we're not going to spend a lot of time on trinomials. So, but I just wanted to show you guys that you totally can do trinomials. It's just a little bit extra work, okay? We're going to really focus on binomials, right? So 2 terms. Are you guys, I just want to do like a temperature check. You guys doing okay? Are there any questions? I'm sure we're making little mistakes all over the place. We're just going to really focus now on binomials. Are we doing okay, guys? Yeah, it is a little hard. I get that, but it's brand new, right? And whenever you do something brand new, it's going to be a little hard. So what we're just going to do, since, right, we're just going to focus on binomials now, okay? So good. If you're in the place where like, hey, it's a little hard, I'm getting kind of like the big idea, but I'm struggling, I'm making small mistakes, then you're in a good place. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to show you is this, right? The last new thing. If I have x squared, that equals x times x. Right, and I think I showed this earlier, right? So we're okay with this. So if I have x plus 3 quantities squared, what do you think that equals? Right, what does this equal? So if x squared is x times x, then the quantity of x plus 3 squared would be it's just going to be itself times itself. Like that. And didn't we learn how to multiply these? So this is just a different type of multiplication. So if we have the quantity of x plus 3 squared, that's the same thing as x plus 3 times x plus 3. Okay, so this is just notation, right? So if x squared equals x times x, then the quantity of x plus 3 squared equals the quantity of x plus 3 times the quantity of x plus 3. Okay, that's what squared means. It means something times itself. Okay. So let me do one problem with you, and then I'll have you guys try one. So let's say I have 3x plus 4 quantity squared. So example 5 right here. Okay. Then you might remember, hey, this is the same as 3x plus 4 times 3x plus 4. And this is called a perfect square because the sides are the same length. Right? So we have two terms, and the sides are the same. Right? So this is called a perfect square because it makes a square because the side lengths are the same. And I don't want to go too fast, so I'm gonna take little breaks to slow down. But we only have 8 minutes left, and I want to make sure you guys can get some practice in. So what we're gonna do here is, again, we're just gonna multiply. So the only thing that's really different here is, rather than writing it out, I can just write it like this. It's shorter to write because it's a perfect square. So if I have 3x plus 4 quantity squared, right, I can just write it out like this. It's the same thing. And then we're going to multiply. So 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. 4 times 3 is 12. And then x, there's no x there, so it just stays. Right? So 4 times 3x is 12x. Okay. Then I'm going to go 3x times 4. Well, that's going to be 3 times 4 again is 12, and there's an x in there, so it's 12x. And then 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so the same process. So you guys are going to get a lot of practice with multiplying, right? So, and the only difference here is that instead of writing it out like this, like two binomials being multiplied, they write it out as a square. Okay, which is right. Then this would be a square, a literal, right? A literal square. So I'm going to write all these out now. So I have 9x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 16. I notice right away that I can combine 12 and 12x. So if I have 12 and 12, that's 24. So I have 9x squared plus 24x plus 16. Okay. So that's it. It's the same process. We make a square. Just if you see something squared, that means it's just multiplying by itself. Okay. So I'm going to have you guys try one out on your own. Well, we're going to try a bunch out on our own. That's what we're going to do for the next 6 minutes, okay? We're just going to try a bunch of these out and just work out the kinks, okay? All right. So let's go ahead here and do a couple more examples. Okay. So I want you guys to try this one out on your own. Okay, try that one out on your own. So remember that squared means it's just going to be 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 6. So you're going to make a box, and the sides are going to be the same, right? 2x plus 6 and 2x plus 6. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and, just write this out in case people are forgetting, right? So this means it's just the quantity of 2x plus 6 times the quantity of 2x plus 6. Okay, so I'm going to draw a box. This one's going to be a square, right? Because the sides are the same. So I have 2x plus 6, and I have 2x plus 6. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. 6 times 2 is 12, so I'm going to have 12x. And then 6 times 2 is 12x. And then 6 times 6 is 18. Do I have that right? Yeah, 18. Do I have that right? No. 6 times 6 is 36. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm embarrassed now. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to add these all together. I get 4x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 36. I add these two middle ones together. I'm going to have 4x squared plus 24x plus 36. Okay, and this is going to be really helpful for us going to backwards. Do you guys see here, when it's a perfect square like this, do you guys see how it just doubles what's in there? Right? So think about this. What's 6 plus 6? 6 plus 6 is 12, right? And then 36 is 6 times 6. There's a pattern there. We're going to talk about that in a few classes. We'll talk about that pattern, okay? Nice. Hey, so it sounds like at least some of us are getting success, and you guys are starting to feel good about this. Well, let's keep going. I have 3 minutes. I want to do one more. Let's do one more. I want to make sure you guys feel confident about this and you feel good about this. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to make up some numbers. What if I do 6x minus 3 times 3x plus 2? Okay, can you guys multiply that out? And let's make sure that we're feeling confident, and that's how we'll end today. So I'm gonna give you guys a minute 30 on this, and then that'll give us enough time to go over it. I'm just gonna pre-make the box. All right, guys, we are at 9:50, so I'm going to go ahead and go over this. So again, it doesn't matter where you write these, right? So I can go 6x minus 3, but I can also write 6x minus 3 on the top. That won't change our answer. 3 times 6 is 18. So I have 18x squared. And then I have 2 times 6 is 12x. And then negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. If I write these all out, I get 18x squared plus 12x minus 9x minus 6. I'm going to combine these in the middle. I get 18x squared, 12 minus 9 is 3. And then minus 6. Like that. All right, so that is the end of class.